This meeting to order. Roll call?
Attendance noted.
Awesome. Approval of the minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting of February 22nd, 2016. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. All right. And this is an opportunity for citizens to address the commission items not on the agenda. Seeing no. All right. So we will open up the first item on the public hearing, which is considered an interim use permit to allow continued operation of a used car sale business at 6529 Penn Avenue, otherwise known as Car Hop. Staff?
Thank you. The property at 6529 Penn was first approved for use as a used car sales lot back in 1990. The use was not consistent with the comprehensive plan then and remains at odds with the current comprehensive plan. This use has always been considered temporarily acceptable while waiting for the Penn Avenue corridor to redevelop. In 2007, the City Council adopted a revised zoning ordinance that made automobile sales permissible only as an integral part of new automobile sales businesses. Car Hop has been operating as a legally non-conforming use since the adoption of that ordinance. The existing permit for this use expires on June 8th, 2016, and the applicant is applying for a new 3-year interim use permit. Some policy considerations. The purpose of an interim use permit is to allow a use that may not be compatible with the comprehensive plan to operate for a limited period of time. Interim use permits are designed to meet the problem that arises when the city has designated an area for redevelopment or revitalization, but the market has yet to react to those changes. The City Council may waive ordinance provisions upon finding that the temporary nature of the interim use will eliminate the adverse effects these provisions were intended to prevent. The Planning Commission and Council must find that the temporary nature makes the non-conforming use permissible at this time. The result of the Penn Avenue corridor study on this property was to change the zoning designation from industrial to mixed-use community with the Penn Avenue overlay. Mixed-use districts prohibit used auto sales unless they're an integral part of a new car dealership, as they are citywide. The Penn Avenue overlay also prohibits auto mechanical or auto body repair shops and auto detailing establishments. These types of businesses currently remain throughout the corridor as legally non-conforming uses. Staff believes that given current market conditions and the existence of other similar auto-related businesses in the area, an interim use permit for the continued use of the property for auto sales is warranted, provided that the property continues to comply with the stipulations of the interim use permit. Staff is recommending a 1-year interim use permit so that conditions in the corridor can be reevaluated and the continued compatibility of this use considered again next year. Approval of an interim use permit would be conditioned upon continued compliance with their landscape plan, maintaining the window planter boxes throughout the growing season and adding additional seasonal decor over the winter, and performing patch repair of the parking lot as necessary, compliance with sign rules, and compliance with the Penn Avenue design guidelines. That concludes the staff report. We can take any questions. I believe the applicant representative is here as well.
Anyone have any questions? This is a public meeting, so open up the public meeting. No one's here. Can I have movement to close the public hearing? So moved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion?
So what are the adverse effects the provisions were intended to prevent? And if this has been a temporary use for 26 years, at what point do those adverse effects start to kick in?
Well, I think the adverse effects are just that it's not permitted the use is not permitted by the zoning ordinance at all. And the automotive related uses are specifically prohibited in the Penn Avenue corridor. I guess that would be the perceived.
Okay. And what's the intent of the 1-year versus the 3-year permit?
3-year permits. I think 3-year permits were approved 2010 and 2013. Seeing as how no action has been taken, and in meeting with the property owner, staff is recommending a 1-year interim use permit this time around, just to keep a closer tab on the property and keep open lines of communication with the property owner.
Does staff see that this might be a series of 1-year permits coming up based on next comprehensive plan planning? Is that the thought here?
Commissioner Stanfus, staff has met with the property owner, who is not Car Hop, it's Capital Real Estate. And they have at least somewhat looked at redevelopment of this corner. They own not only this property, but 2 others on this corner. And staff has been pushing them to redevelop. That's the message we got from the Planning Commission and the City Council when we've continually brought this forward in 3-year increments for a while, was go to 1 and push them harder. Although they did come in to meet with us in November, I don't see this moving in the next year, not because of our comprehensive plan. I don't actually anticipate major changes to the Penn Avenue corridor as part of the comprehensive plan. However, based on the information that they provided to us in November, I don't see them moving quickly on this.
And then a follow-up question. Some of this is premised on economic conditions. What might be the move in economic conditions that you would see making this more feasible for them to move forward to change the current condition?
I actually don't know. They have approached some surrounding property owners. Their feeling is that there isn't the depth here on the properties that they already own to allow for a larger redevelopment, but they don't feel able to pick up additional properties at this time. We have discussed with them some financial tools that the city could help with. I don't think that those discussions have gone much farther than that, saying we'd like to try to help you do something in this area. This is a priority area for us. And then we haven't really, the discussions haven't gone much farther than that.
But the possibility is that those discussions could continue within this 1-year time period.
Absolutely. It's written into the approval that they are required to meet with us at least once a year.
Thank you.
Any other discussions amongst the commission?
I move the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
There's been a motion. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 2, consideration of a change to the zoning and comprehensive plan designations of 7614 Pillsbury Avenue. The proposed amendments would change the zoning of the property from industrial to single-family residential, and the comprehensive plan designation from medium-high density residential to low-density residential. Staff.
Thank you. On Tuesday, March 22nd, the City Council approved a change to the zoning and comprehensive plan designations for all but 1 parcel on the block that formerly housed the Richfield Public Works Garage. The block is bounded by 76th and 77th Streets to the north and south, the SO Line Railroad tracks, and the Pillsbury Avenue to the west and the east. The properties are now zoned and guided to allow for the construction of an 88-unit senior housing development. The single-family home at 7614 Pillsbury is not part of that project and will remain. Staff is proposing to rezone and re-guide this property as single-family residential and low-density residential. These designations will make the property conforming and will therefore offer the property owner the most flexibility in terms of maintenance and improvement to the property. Staff has discussed these proposed changes with the current property owner and also the city attorney. Neither the property owner, the city attorney, or anyone else in the notification area has contested the proposed changes. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, so I have a few questions. The first is just it's already a non-conforming use, it's an industrial now. How long has it been that, and what adverse effects would there be to the homeowner if they just stayed industrial?
Right, so it is industrial, but the comprehensive plan designation is medium-high density residential. We have been kind of pushing off the Met Council for a number of years now to let us keep that inconsistency until we figure out what to do, or a proposal came forward for this block. But in general, you are required by state statute to have your comprehensive plan and zoning designations match. So we need to, industrial is no longer an option for this property.
And if it were rezoned the same as the rest of the block, what effects would that have on the home?
It cannot be zoned to a PUD because it's a single parcel. It's not part of the development.
Oh, so it's if the rest of the zoning is not medium high density residential, but
It's
PUD.
planned.
Yeah.
It's planned multifamily residential.
Okay, so I guess my biggest discomfort is the way that this sort of makes the comprehensive plan descriptive of an oddity and doesn't seem to actually be planning. So is there precedent for this? I couldn't find any other situations in which one single parcel is surrounded on three sides by other zoning and was made that way.
You know what? I don't know an example in Richfield. There have been other examples throughout the country. There are other examples in Edina. There's one along Xerxes, just on their side of Xerxes, where I think it's 2, might be 3 single-family homes, but are zoned and guided separately from everything else around them. So has it happened in Richfield before? No. Do we feel like this is a long-term problem to guide the property this way? No. It allows the homeowner the flexibility to improve the home if they desire to. It allows them to refinance without problems. And in the future, if this homeowner decides to sell and something else changes with the approved development next door, this isn't something that could never change. But in the meantime, it does give that property owner the freedom to do what they'd like to keep up that property.
What would happen if we did nothing?
Technically, we would be in violation of state statute, and the homeowner could come to us and say, I can't refinance, or I'd like to put on an attached garage, and I can't do that. So then we'd end up granting variances. Would the Met Council come after us for this? Probably not, although we're going to send it right to them with a glaring, it'll be kind of obvious because we're going to send in the rest of that block for an amendment, and we'd be leaving this one.
Is this the only instance in the city where the existing zoning is out of line with the comprehensive plan?
No, there are a couple other spots that are not priority redevelopment areas where we have also discussed with the Met Council leaving them until they're ripe for development.
I think what I'm struggling with is just that if the rest of this block, when we have a plan, and I think the plan is possibly for this house to become part of that rest of the block.
Well, I would say that the plan for this house is not to become part of this development.
Okay.
This development is approved as it is.
Okay.
This development is this size in order to meet the density that's been specifically approved and is specifically approved through a number of items, the PUD approvals and this restrictive covenant. So this development is not intended or guaranteed ever to become part of this development.
But it could in the future if that homeowner so choose to sell it.
If the developer wanted to buy it, yes.
Okay.
But at this point, there would be no incentive for that developer to buy this. I think that we have talked to the developer that if ever this property came up and the city were to acquire it, perhaps there could be some sort of land swap to allow us to own the property at the corner and them to own this, and maybe make some more public improvements at the corner. But that is by no means required or guaranteed.
Well, this is a public hearing. Seeing no one, I'd ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right. Any further discussion? Yeah.
Given all the
there a motion for the
I'm
discussion?
just going to comment a little bit more. I don't feel super strongly about this. I do think it's a shame looking at how we got to this point where the city did own 2 single-family home parcels at the corner, and it sure would have made a lot more sense to have a cluster of 3 single-family homes on land that isn't being used as part of this development, rather than having it now surrounded on 3 sides. So I know that's not your fault, and that's not really germane to this, but that's kind of a shame. That's my only thought on that.
Can we join them together?
You can join them together. You can read parts 1 and 2. Mhm.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready if you're ready.
Okay, I will make a motion to recommend approval of the attached resolution amending the comprehensive plan to change the designation of 7614 Pillsbury Avenue from medium-high density residential to low-density residential, and recommend approval of the attached ordinance amending Appendix 1 of the City Code to change the zoning of 7614 Pillsbury Avenue from Industrial 1 to Single Family R. No, it should be from Industrial R to a Single Family Residential R.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then item number 3 is consider amendments to the city's zoning ordinance. The proposed ordinance makes minor adjustments to permitted accessory uses in parks. Staff?
Thank you. In the course of reviewing the zoning code with Parks and Rec staff, it was noted that only facilities owned by a governmental unit are currently permitted within parks. This could technically prohibit relationships like the one the city currently has with Wheel Fun Rentals to operate Maltese Snack Shop and the mini golf course at Veterans Park. Staff is proposing a minor change to the ordinance to allow this type of mutually beneficial relationship to continue. Basically, the language will go from parks and related recreational facilities owned by a governmental unit to parks and related accessory facilities. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Would this then allow any business in any park?
Well, it would still have to be a related accessory facility.
Okay.
And there'd still be site plan approval. We own the land. It's not like a private commercial business could come in and just open something up without the city's permission. We own all the parks in the city.
Thank you.
Just a comment that this particular situation in vets has really been beneficial because it really took over a situation where they were lacking funds. And someone came in and actually did a nice job in there and really opened it up so that it's much more usable than it was before. So I think generally this is really a good thing for the city to have. And in those situations where they've decided, they can't really manage it themselves, but there's still an opportunity out there for more use in the parks.
This is a public hearing, but no one's here. So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any further discussion?
So just a further question on the related accessory facilities. So it means the business would be operating in a building owned by Park and Rec? Is that the idea?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think the relationship of building ownership could probably be worked out. The land will always be owned
Okay.
by the city.
Just define for me parks and related accessory facilities. That phrasing just is going over my head at the moment. What does that mean?
Sure. So rather than just recreational facilities, I don't think Maltese would be considered a recreational facility. So some of the other things we thought about were some of the restaurants that operate in the Minneapolis parks.
Okay, so like at
Those
Minnehaha
sorts-
Falls or something
Right,
like that. Got it.
something like
Okay.
that. We wanted to open it up to those kinds of
Got it.
opportunities if
Okay.
they present themselves.
Okay, I think that helps. Thank you.
Excellent. Is there a motion?
I'll move the recommendation to approve the attached ordinance amending the regulations to allow the uses within the parks of the, as we just heard, the related accessory facilities for these types of uses.
There's been a motion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All Is there any new business? Nope. Any old business? No. Liaison reports. Community Services Advisory Commission.
Okay, Community Services, their meeting had discussion on the Vets Park Boardwalk, which has been in the news lately, and talked about the fixing of those pillows that are the floaters for the docks in Vets Park. It'll probably be about $40,000, which they'll fund over a few seasons to get that back up and clean up of those little pellets that are in there. Second thing was their 2017 to 2021 capital improvement plan. The most, probably the most discussed item in there was relative to the ice arena. And there's a cost there to change the way that it's cooled, where the ice is cooled and so on and so forth. And they have to change it. It's regulation now. So it's going to be about, over the course, about $3 million to do this. And they are, their budget is only $450 per year. So that means that the $300,000 per year is going to go into that over a period of time. They're hoping for some funding from Minnesota Mighty Ducks to help pay for this conversion. And that's still in the working as far as this point. So with that, they approved the action as far as the funding, and then but put in some stipulations that they wanted to keep looking at what they can do to offset some of this cost and hopefully find some other funding options. Last item was Friends of Wood Lake. They made a couple of appointments to the Friends of Wood Lake Commission, and that's it.
City Council?
Yeah. Also with the clinic and the new parking and everything. So that's a go.
The HRA at their last meeting had their year in review, which is a really detailed PowerPoint, so you should watch that video. They had some interesting stuff on there. They also had some discussions about Champs and Baker Square and Old Country Buffet and redevelopment of them leaving, and that Champs is possibly looking to relocate is kind of some discussion, which is interesting. But they might want to wait out the 66th Street reconstruction, so. They also considered an amendment of payment for Section 8 rental assistance for clients at concierge. So that was for 6 clients that still had additional needs beyond what their rental assistance already was approved for in HUD payments, and that will be just through May 31st, and that was a special. And then David Gephardt is putting together a list of Richfield firsts, which I thought was kind of interesting. So he's looking for things that were first in Richfield, such as Village Shores was probably the first mixed-use district in suburbia, and things like that. So Champs was the first. Hub was one of the original malls that wasn't necessarily an indoor mall, but so if you have anything, send them his way. School board.
Yeah, at the meeting on the 7th, the board received an update on superintendent goals, and at the meeting on the 21st, the board received an overview of Richfield Normandale Prep, which is a collaboration between Richfield Public Schools and Normandale Community College.
Transportation.
Yeah, about half the meeting was spent on a presentation for community development, just talking about the various redevelopment projects in the city. There wasn't any sort of action taken, but just to try to get things in the minds of transportation commissioners about what's going on and what's the future of the city. And then there were 2 sort of specific pedestrian possible related projects. One is James Avenue, 1 block south of Monroe Park is being reconstructed, and staff is doing some outreach to see if there's interest in doing a sidewalk on that street and or narrowing the street from the city's current standard. And then on 69th Street, there's no plans to reconstruct the street, but they're looking at experimenting with a sort of an on-street delineated area, sort of like 36th Street by Lakewood Cemetery in Minneapolis, of having a bike ped area for part of that street.
Any other reports? No? All right, city planner report.
I just wanted to mention the upcoming work session with the City Council and the HRA. That, as a reminder, is about the Cedar Corridor Master Plan. I know I saw at least one of you at the open house. It was very well attended. And what we will be looking for from the commission and councils is essentially a decision on the road alignment. We're going to talk some more about land use decisions. We'll have some more open houses to discuss that further. But right now, what we really need feedback on is whether or not Richfield Parkway should continue south along 18th or proceed over to Cedar Avenue like had been previously planned. And we're really, that decision can actually be broken into two pieces. Right now, we're looking for a decision on the north half, so north of 70th. And then also, and there is a poll up on the City of Richfield's website, a map and a poll, and it's up until March 31st. So you can go and vote on that if you have not. And also at that work session, it's likely you'll see a revamped proposal from Interstate Partners for the site south of 66th and west of the roundabout at Richfield Parkway. They came in a month or two ago with a preliminary proposal. They took some feedback and they have some revisions that they'd like to present. They will likely be on that agenda as well.
Will the feedback from the session be sent out to us prior to that work session so we can gather all the communities?
I don't know. The feedback that I have seen is not, and I have not seen it all, is not easily categorized. There are a few comment cards and then it's primarily stickers on boards. And some of those stickers are difficult to interpret. So I'm not sure that there's really a summary that can be provided to you beforehand, but I will check, and if they've put something together, I'll make sure they send that out.
Thank you.
Question, the April 12th meeting starts at 6?
It's 5:45 tentatively on
Thank
my
you.
notes.
Thank you.
I'd ask for a motion for adjournment then, if there's nothing
So moved.
else. Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.